Do you remember late 70s? There was this song called Popcorn.
Oh, I do, yeah.
Welcome to the popcorn counter. I was quoting a 1970s song called Popcorn.
We'll get a copyright strike for that, though.
Oh, darn it. I get us in trouble every time I sit at this microphone.
Time. So,
yeah, we're going to talk about martial arts films.
martial arts?
Not an area of expertise for me.
No, well, me neither. I must say, martial arts movies is one of those things that just passed me by. When I was a kid at school, there were like some kids or boys who would talk incessantly about the martial arts movies that they'd seen, and they would quote from like Enter the Dragon, or they'd talk about like Police Story or whatever. And I'm not entirely. I'm guessing that they were watching these movies, using their dad's VHS cassette versions or something like that, because it was not something that you could see on British TV, I think, at the time. And certainly, I don't think you could go to the cinema to see these films when you were a 12-year-old boy in Britain. So it was a complete closed book to me. I had no idea what a martial arts movie was, or how it worked. Was it something? Did it pervade your youth? Was it something that people talked about? Were you aware of them?
Yeah, a little bit, and I'll tell you why. We had cable television. I don't know if you call it cable over there, but we got cable in the late 70s. So a lot of these films that had come out 5 and 6 years before were playing on cable. They had a home there. So I did grow up on a fair bit of Bruce Lee films, and I think I was more enchanted by the dubbing than I was the actual fighting. I thought it was so crazy. I was thinking, do these guys speak English? They speak it kind of oddly, or is this being dubbed? And that was intriguing to me. So I associate a lot of the early martial arts stuff with that. So I saw Bruce Lee things in like rerun syndication sort of thing. But then for me, I think of television more because Kung Fu, with I think it was David Cassidy on television in the States, CBS I think it was. So there's Thursday night I think it was. I don't know how many seasons it ran. It was probably like canceled after 2, but in my mind it ran for 10 glorious seasons. And my brothers would like watch, and then they would go into the living room afterwards and Kung Fu fight, or, and I was too young to do that. But so for me it was all about that, and it was really imbued with a lot of Zen sort of philosophy and stuff. So I think those are my two initial touchstones, but then I've never sought out martial arts films. So we'll talk about a few, but there's no one film that I think like made me into a martial arts fan, or that I can talk about with much expertise.
I think that the first time I properly encountered any martial arts movies was I ran a sort of comedy club for a year or two in like about the year 2000 on Charing Cross Road, called Cool Eddie's, and in the autumn, to try and boost up audiences and put something which would be interesting and catch the eye in the listings magazine. We had a Halloween sort of spooky comedy night, and we put cobwebs over the stage and kind of and had costumes and stuff, and that was kind of fun. And it was fun enough and successful enough that I started to think, well, what other theme nights can we have? So we had a martial arts theme night, and despite never really having seen a martial arts movie, I then had to write some martial arts comedy material and invited some other comics to come and do some martial arts comedy material, and we put like Chinese paper lanterns all over the stage, and had some kind of martial art movie music playing in the background. And one of the things I thought we would do would be do some live dubbing. So I brought my like little 14-inch black and white television and put it on the stage on a stool, and I had some copied VHS cassettes of some scenes from martial arts movies. So another comedian and I then would each grab a microphone and just do live dubbing of completely ridiculous, stupid dialogue over these martial arts films. And that was like my first, like preparing these tapes to do the live dubbing was the first time I'd really kind of seen any martial arts movies. So it was coming the whole thing completely back asswards. It was totally upside down.
But yeah, that's the same thing that attracted me to them in the first place. And it's funny you mention that, because I occasionally do that with my English students, kids learning English. I'll put up something on television. They have to invent the dialogue for these two characters. So maybe I should do that with some martial arts sometime. That'd be fun.
It's funny when the dialogue is dubbed, because even if you see the original language for most of the 70s and 80s martial arts movies, all the dialogue is post-sync, isn't it?
Yeah.
So even the original Chinese dialogue, you actually
Yeah, it was
feels kind
yeah.
of stagey and doesn't feel like it's really happening there. It all feels
Yeah.
takes you out of the moment. It's kind of just part of the form, I think, isn't it? This strange
Yeah.
post-sync dialogue and this these kind of very stereotyped sound effects of people hitting two sticks together when people punch
Yeah, yeah.
each other.
That's
It's
right.
all part of the form.
Yeah, and you get a grunt too. You got to make those sounds.
Yeah, it must be a
In post, yeah.
blast doing the
Yeah,
Foley for
probably.
these films. Just a blast.
Yeah.
So now that you're a bit older, what martial arts movies
Yeah.
have you seen?
So I think the one, I'm trying to go in order here. I think the one that probably made the biggest impact on me was Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, which came out just a little bit after The Matrix, which you talked about in the last episode. And sort of just that, I guess, lots of green screen stuff, right? I mean, I think that was really interesting. I love that. I mean, I love the images of it. I don't necessarily like a lot of martial arts because I think after a few seconds or so, it doesn't really propel the story or the characterization forward very much, if you know what I mean. Like, it seems it's anathema to me to spend 5 minutes on a fight scene when you could be moving your story forward or defining your character. I mean, yes, they
Story
can
waits
kick
for a
ass.
fight.
Yeah, they can take punches, they can kick ass, but I don't learn anything more about them. So for me, I just don't. Yeah, I don't respond well. I'm not going to go out and watch a film just for its fight scenes. But that one was an art film too, wasn't it? So I mean, it just had
It
this art scene.
was very artsy.
So I'm gonna name that one as the one that I remembered and enjoyed for the artistry of it.
For a while I was reviewing films for this this website called filmexposed.com. It doesn't exist now. And they used to send it, and kind of like the remit of the website was they would review like all the weird stuff that was not mainstream that probably wouldn't get reviewed by the newspapers. So we would kind of get sent all these kind of weird, stupid movies. So one of the first martial arts movies I sat down and watched from beginning to end was Lone Wolf and Cub, which was like a 1980s
I don't know it. Yeah.
so recut of an early 70s martial arts movie from Japan.
Wow.
Or maybe it's a Hong Kong martial arts movie. I'm not completely sure. I think it might be from Japan. Where I think there have been 2 Lone Wolf and Cub movies about this samurai. Yeah, I'm sure it must be Japanese. I think it was a samurai who had to carry a baby around on his back. And they'd taken 2 of these Japanese movies made in the 70s, and then in the 80s they cut the 2 of them together to make one feature film for release, like in cinemas in the US. So it's this really weird kind of amalgamation of 2 movies, and with all the all the best scenes of fighting squished in together, and all the scenes where there's story but largely cut out.
Yeah.
And that was a kind of a great, entertaining but surreal, bizarre film. And even the sound effects, I think they had redubbed. With this kind of strange sort of like this sort of dub reggae sound effect. All sorts of crazy sound effects on this film. Very entertaining, but utterly mad. I think that was the first full-length martial arts film that I've seen. And like the big hitters, the ones that my friends would talk about back when we were 12 at school, like Drunken Master and Enter the Dragon and Police Story and stuff. I still haven't seen any of those. No. I still have not.
I don't. I'm sure I've seen Karate Kid the whole way through, but I do not really remember it well enough to talk about it at all. But that's obviously one that everyone has seen, I think.
It's got karate in the name. Absolutely.
Yeah, it's got karate right there.
We watched Karate Kid with the kids, actually, last year, I think. And it's still good fun.
Good.
As a little sort of parable about bullying.
Yeah.
And telling kids, the way to get out of bullying is learn martial arts and beat up the other kid. But as a parable about bullying, it still works, and it's still fun, actually, and it's really engaging.
Yeah.
And the kind of the 2 the kids, it's Ralph Macchio and I'm struggling to remember the woman now, but there's such engaging kind of young, fresh-faced teenagers in that movie. It's still very entertaining. I had like a period, I think, after watching Lone Wolf and Cub, of kind of seeking out random martial arts movies at the local video shop. So I remember watching Romeo Must Die.
Oh yeah,
which is Jet Li and Aaliyah, isn't it?
Okay.
I think shortly before she died. So like 2003, she was like like a sort of a big R&B star at the time, and then Jet Li was this kind of ex-Olympian Chinese martial arts star, and and kind of this kind of very strange amalgamation of kind of like sort of Boys in the Hood gangster type movies plus some Chinese martial arts. Really actually a fairly terrible film, but a strange kind of amalgamation of the two. And I'm starting to think how widely can I stretch the definition of martial arts?
Sure.
Does Seven Samurai count? I watched that. Is that good? Does that belong in that camp?
That's more like a sword play thing, isn't it?
Yeah, no, I guess so.
Yeah, I think it's a martial art. Yeah. Yes, I'm going to say yes.
Zatoichi, have you seen that Takeshi Kitano movie from 2003 where he plays a blind swordsman? And I think I would count that as martial arts.
Yes.
So if you can expand the definition, I've got a few movies under my belt. And then recently we watched Shang-Chi, which is the Marvel martial arts movie.
Okay.
And I watched that expecting it to be kind of, a bit watered down with, a little bit of fighting. But no, it's unashamedly, proudly a martial arts movie.
Yeah.
And there is some, great, well choreographed, very exciting fighting in that film. It absolutely earns its stripes as a martial arts movie. There's a great scene where the two characters are fighting like on a scaffolding outside a building.
Yeah.
And it's very inventive, very fun, very acrobatic. It's terrific. I've done a little list here. The only other movie I've got written down on my list here is The Raid. I don't know whether you've seen that.
No.
Which is like is that a Thai film, I think? Or it's a film with a British director, but set in Thailand, about a lone cop who has to make his way up a high-rise building, which is full of martial arts gangster types, and it's a very simple man travels from A to B story, but full of very inventive choreography, and he kills a guy with a fridge. It's that sort of thing where there's lots of kind of clever.
That I want to see. I did remember what I was going to say. It was that it's really its own genre. There are a lot of genres like that. So I think martial arts films are definitely their own thing, and they can attract automatically its own audience. So when you were suggesting we talk about this, the first thing that came to mind to me was actually Barton Fink.
Oh my God! Yeah,
he has to go out and write wrestling pictures in Hollywood. He has no idea what it is. He's written this sort of heady workman proletariat play in New York City, and then they fly him out to Los Angeles, and he has to start writing wrestling pictures. And I thought, jeez, yeah, that was a genre too, I suppose. I mean, it was his own thing. So I just wonder if this is the wrestling picture of our day is the martial arts film. And now, of course, you see it. There's the MMA on television. There's this whole competition where real life people beat the shit out of each other and in rings and in front of audiences. And it's become its own little universe, I guess.
Right. I wonder whether we ought to try and find some more martial arts pictures to compare. There's going to be
something will come up,
especially now that Shang-Chi has come out. I think martial arts is primed to make like a big comeback. I think Everything Everywhere is the tip of the iceberg. I bet we see 6 more significant martial arts pictures before the end of next year. Ooh. Make a note of that.
We'll hold
that thought. We'll come back in 18 months and see whether I was right or I was utterly wrong.
Whoa, 18 months? You said the next year.
No, next year and a half, something like that.
Okay.
Yeah, so I reckon, that's what I'm putting my money on.
A British year.
Yeah, 6 significant martial arts pictures released before Christmas 2023. Let's see what happens.
Perfect.
I'll put my money on it. All right. Good. We've got
a popcorn. Where to find us. Yeah.
Yes.
Find us at the popcorn counter if we're wrong.
This space.
We'll get into a fight with you. Martial arts.
Yeah, exactly. If you agree or disagree with the popcorn counter shenanigans, please don't forget to tweet us. We are on Instagram. So Instagram is at 2 Real Cinema Club. You can tweet us at 2 Real Cine Club. So we exist on the internet. Do find us. Until then, we'll see you for the next episode.
Yeah, brave the Matrix. Come find us. Thanks, folks.
Bye.
Bye-bye.